Welcome to the Sports Showcase event on Hartford TV. I am Ray Ruse, and I am here with my broadcast partner, Bob Frisch. We are at the beautiful Bel Air High School Stadium for a boys soccer match between the host Bel Air Bobcats and the visiting John Carroll Patriots. Two strong teams here. John Carroll is currently 8-1-3, and they are coached by James Fendrick, and this is his 14th season. And he is assisted by Philip Greatwich, Michael Diorio, Kevin Bowser, and Matt Bolts. Bel Air is currently 8-3, and they are coached by Dominic Rose, and this is Dominic's 30th year, I apologize. He has a career record of 257 and 137 and 35 ties. He is assisted by Brian Hahn, George Beaker, and Zach Memo. And before I talk more about this matchup, I again want to welcome my broadcast partner, Bob Frisch. Welcome, Bob.
Hi, Ray. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Always enjoy coming out here and doing these games.
So in past years, Bob, Dominic Rose told me that his career record, so over 30 years, is 6-5-1 against John Carroll. So you could tell it was a very good matchup. Dom told me that he has a younger team, and they're just trying to build, and they're going to do a formation that's a little bit different. They're doing a 4-5-1. And he said he focuses on being defensive-minded and breaking out from the back, putting the balls down the corners, and they have a strength of crossing and a power throw-in. So you and I saw one power throw-in person in our last game. Whereas John Carroll's more well-rounded, and they're having an incredible year. They're second in the MIAA, and they're one of the top-ranked teams in the state.
Yeah, so if we look at the Prep Max rankings from the Baltimore, D.C. metro area, right now John Carroll's ranked number 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the only team that they have lost to is Loyola's ranked number 5. So Bel Air is going to have their work cut out for them. I've been fortunate enough to actually officiate a few of John Carroll's games this year, and they have a very talented program.
Yeah, and they also, I'm going to piggyback on your comment about the rankings. That's the overall state rankings. That's every team in the state.
Yeah.
So by the metro, that includes those really strong Anne Arundel teams and Montgomery County teams. In the metro area, John Carroll was recently ranked number 1 in the metro area, which is basically Baltimore County, Hartford County, other local counties.
Yeah, and John Carroll has 2 particular players that are returning. Maybe we'll just let them do
They can't. No,
they can't hear. Okay, terrific.
You can see them doing the introductions, folks, but we can't really hear that, so we're just going to talk through that ourselves right now. You see the John Carroll coaches players being introduced, and shaking hands with Dom Rose, and then they'll do it the other way around too. So what were you saying about those players?
I was just say that from last year's team, they have Joshua Petty, who was a first-team All-Metro player. He plays up top for them. And they also have Edward Smith, who was a second-team All-Metro player. So they have some really good talent coming back, and that's why they're so strong. I remember last year that John Carroll went all the way to the MIAA A-class final and took Calvert Hall all the way to double overtime before they lost. And you got to remember that John Carroll's last year's team, by some measures, was ranked the number 1 team in the country. And they only had 1 blemish on their record, and that was a tie in the first game to John Carroll, which I was on that officiating crew. What a terrific game.
Well, I may be getting mixed up also because there have been multiple Hartford County teams that have made the state championship games recently, and then John Carroll making their league champion. I wanted to say that the goal that was scored against them was late in that overtime also.
Oh, yes. It was like right down to the end, and we thought I was there. I thought we were going to go to PKs.
Yeah.
And the same student that John Carroll Calvert Hall player who scored the winning goal had done the same thing the previous year, scored the double overtime winner 2 years in a row. So what for that particular player, what a great memory of high school.
So I do have down here, Bob, in talking to Dom Rose, that his captains are Cameron Class, Benjamin Sellers, and Owen Conway. And they have an honorary captain today in Jordan Kozak, and what he does is kind of neat. He picks the player of the game, so the player of the game of the past game is also the fourth captain for this game. But he also said that Jordan Kozak is kind of hogging that honor because he's got that a couple weeks in a row. Got the player of the game for their team. I do have some information here about some of the John Carroll players. And Austin Hoffman also plays baseball, and he's committed to Salisbury. So that's pretty cool. And Logan Bolts is a lacrosse commit to Quinnipiac. I always have a hard time saying that university. Trying to see if we have any other commits here.
Yeah, I got Ian Wagner is also a commit to Salisbury. And unfortunately, one of the players that won't be playing today is injured, and he's a commitment to Villanova. Okay. That is Cameron Tolson.
Okay, yeah. So you have a largely experienced team here. At one point, they were starting 11 seniors for John Carroll, and I was told that by the coach. Due to a couple injuries, there's 2 juniors and a sophomore starting today, and due to some other things like, somebody was absent from our practice, and I like that coaches have those rules. So we're going to pause here for our national anthem.
As we honor our country with the playing of our national anthem.
Say here, Bob, we've talked about this in a lot of our telecasts, but nowadays with kids playing club sports and so forth, you have people across the sideline of you from these high school games that some of them are your club team. Well, that's even more so with a match like this. A lot of Bel Air area kids go to John Carroll if they don't stay here. So you could have kids out here right now, good shot of the huddle here, that are neighbors, play with each other on club soccer, play another sport with each other. So it's an interesting dynamic. You'll see a hard-fought game, and then afterwards you'll see handshakes and hugs and, good game comments.
Yeah, a lot of these players, they've either grown up playing with each other or playing against one another.
Yes.
So they're very familiar with their opponents.
So I have here, and Bob, for those who don't know, is besides playing and coaching successfully, he is currently a referee, and he knows at least one of our referees. So our referees here today are Paul Airy and Matthew Roberts. They have a 2-man system, which means one referee. Well, I'll let you describe it, Bob. What's it mean with a 2-man system?
Well, you don't have a referee in the center that patrols the field. The referees in a 2-man system have got to watch not only the offsides, but they have to watch for fouls. And because they are limited in where they can run on the field, because they don't want to get too much involved in the play, sometimes their calls are made from quite a distance. Paul Airy, I happen to know. I've ref with him before. He's a very good referee. He's a college-level referee. The other gentleman, I haven't had the pleasure, but I'm sure that the assigner knows the significance of this game and has put a good crew on here.
So I'll have to find it as we're going here, Bob, but I was told by one of the coaches that there are 2 brothers here playing against each other on opposite teams. So one of them stayed home at Bel Air and the other one with a John Carroll. So we'll have to find that for you in a moment, folks. So what you see happening here right now is John Carroll is patiently passing the ball around the back, and they're looking for their moment to go downfield. So we may have our first offsides call here.
Yes.
Offsides, again, folks, is you have to have two defenders between you and the other team's goal line, and one of them is usually the goalkeeper, and one of them is usually a defender. So if you're just beyond, is even off, Bob? It's always a long debate.
Yeah, it's it's the perspective of the referee. It's we get those calls. People are in the stands and everything, but if the referee is in line with last defender, there's the ultimate decision maker.
So so because the rule says two people have to be behind them, that's why if you're exactly even with the last defender, they can call you offsides because they're technically not behind you. And you'll see here different teams call things like stepping up, and when the ball is cleared from their end, or they see the other team getting ready to strike the ball, which is what happened on that last one. They were kicking a long ball, and they saw the young man get ready to strike it, so the defense on Bel Air smartly stepped up 10 yards and pulled the offensive players off sides. So right now you'll see a lot of side-to-side passing here, and then they'll rebuild it. If they don't have a play down their side, you'll see them rework it. This young man has a little bit of space, not much. He got through there. Nice ball, Bob. He was able to put that ball right in the space to him. Now he should be able to get a cross off here. One of these young men, I would just serve this ball. And there he goes. Boy, that ball took an unfortunately hop. Oh, that was deflected by the defender there, Bob, but that was dangerous.
Yeah, the John Carroll, like I said, I've had the opportunity to officiate them a couple times this year, and they are not afraid to play right along the line. So you can't give up on any ball that they're playing along the line.
That's a good ball. Nice job, keeper. Punch that ball out just enough. Defenders come over here to fight for the clear. That was a great job by John Carroll to fight that ball back. Going to call foul on the offensive player there on John Carroll, pushing a little bit too much. Now, on that ball about 35 seconds ago, Bob, that ball took 2 hops with topspin. Bounced over 2 different defenders and ended up on the left wing's foot. You got to really read the turf here, how hard the ball is bouncing. Serve it all the way back to the keeper. That's why coaches always say don't let it hit the ground. Then it can't hop over your head. Very patient. I'm going to put it all the way out to the left defender. You see the left midfielder checking to the sideline also. Trying to get open for a little touch pass there, which he does. Now you got it kind of pinned in, so wow, he got that ball to his teammate's foot. Defenders did a good job shielding off there. Keeper could not pick up that ball, folks, because it was played back deliberately. Could not use their hands.
John Carroll trying to play a very smooth possession game right now.
Definitely. That's a good ball there, but had to take it down with his chest. They're going to rework it again. You're wondering why they're taking their time with these passes. They're going inside, outside, occasionally switching fields. Now, I was told by Dom Rose, Bob, that they like to get the ball down in the corners, and like I said, they have very good, they supposedly have a strong throw in. That was all ball there. That was a good stick.
Yeah, no foul there. Referee recognized that right away and pointed up the field.
So you're seeing here a lot more, and I'm aging myself here, Bob. We didn't used to play the ball to the keeper like they do nowadays, and now they play it to him all the time. This is a tough situation for Bel Air right now. A little block on the kick there. Goalie has to pick that up because it would have been a corner kick. 2 defenders got in there and stuck the shot very well.
Yeah, John Carroll has got some boys that can really score from outside. Mm-hmm. So Bel Air cannot afford to allow those players to have space. As soon as those players get the ball within striking distance, they need to collapse onto that offensive player.
It was a good steal by the defender. Touch it to the outside here. He's in a tough spot. So let's see if they use that big thrower even on the midfield area. So that's why Don told me like they like to play the 4-5. That gives them 9 people on defense plus their goalie. That's pretty tough to get through that. You may have to have some outside shots because of that. Oops. Referee let that one go. A little contact on the head ball. So the referees in the two-man system, folks, one of them will go from just over midfield, Bob, to the other team's end line, and the other one will do the opposite. And that way you always have somebody in position to call the offsides and make the tough calls down by the goal line. How far over midfield, if you ref, would you go?
It depends on what the other teams, how they're playing it. So if they pull their offensive players way back to help out on defense, I'll be down sometimes into 30 and a 25-yard line.
Wow.
If I don't have to worry about some offensive player sitting at the 50 midfield line and trying to cherry pick, any balls that are kicked over the top. So it depends on how the players are positioning themselves or how far the backside referee will come down in the field.
That was a nice delay move there. He's serving that ball right across. Good job by the defender.
Another case of going right to the line.
Yeah, I want to see if that was Joshua Petty, number 10, that went down the sideline there, or if it was the overlapping midi Ian Wagner. He did what we call setting up the defender with a hesitation move. He paused, and then he took off with a touch, got around the corner there, was able to serve the ball. Fortunate for Bel Air, they were able to get it out of there. Nice pullback move. Putting that ball down there. Let's see. Yeah, he saves it in plenty of time. Got the corner kick out of it. It's hard to read the John Carroll numbers when the light is flashing on their back as well as it is. I think that was number 9 down there, Andrew Denard. But I have to be double checking this. Andrew's father is a successful coach in the area. And that ball was deflected through.
Yeah. Goal kick.
So I'm going to see if we can find it here. I'm going to try to find the name on both rosters, Bob, if we get a chance here during the game to see who the brother combination is. We do have 2 brothers playing on Bel Air together, and their name is, Galen and Ronan Klishevitz. It's a neat opportunity when you get to play on a high school sport with a sibling. Most of the time, right? My brother and I played a year of varsity soccer together. He was 2 years ahead of me, and we fought like brothers sometimes during practice, but he was the first one that defended me if I needed defending, being the younger one. See what kind of throw-in distance we were able to get here. That's pretty solid. Look at that. Right to the goalie. Now, Bob, that's something that John Carroll has to correct. Somebody's job is to run in front of the goalie. That ball should not go clean to the goalie like that with all those people there. They weren't in near offside position, and there is no offsides on the throw-in, correct?
If you've received the ball directly from the throw-in, you cannot be offside.
Really? Okay. In the old
so
days,
you could be in an offside position. You can be behind all of the defenders.
Wow.
But if you receive the ball directly,
when was that changed? Is that
that's been a long time.
Okay.
It's been in existence. Same thing. You cannot be offside if you receive the ball directly from a corner kick or a goal kick. So you could conceivably be standing, behind all the defenders. And if you have someone who's got long enough leg and the defenders aren't paying attention, you could receive that ball and be all alone on your way to the goal.
So another rule change that's been established recently, folks, is the goal kicks. You can now just play the ball to a teammate in the goal box on a goal kick. You didn't used to have to do that. Us old coaches had to design plays for goal kicks. That was a strong kick there. Got the ball 40-some, 50 yards downfield on that kick. I'm an old forward, and My job when the goalie took the goal kick or punted the ball was to get in position in front of a defender, somehow shield them off, and then try to get like a back header or something like that. It's a difficult job for these forwards to do that. Now that's a through ball all the way down the sideline. Almost saved that.
Good shield by the defender there.
Yeah. So there was illegal shielding and there was legal shielding. Right there, he was perfectly allowed to shield off there and let the ball run out of bounds. Now, if he would have put body against the oncoming forward, that would have been a different situation.
As long as you're within playing distance of the ball and you're not having your arms out, trying to keep the player from trying to get around you, then that's legal. Then if you're putting your arms out, it could be considered a hold or it could be an obstruction.
That was a nice
tackle.
Yeah, got the ball cleanly. So we're going to rework it again here. They're going to decide if this sideline is too crowded or not, but he snuck that through there, Bob. Wow.
John Carroll's got very crisp passing. They're a very good passing and trapping team.
That was a very good timed overlap. Now, see, Bel Air is pulling out right now. They're pushing their people out and trying to put John Carroll in offside position, which they were, if the referee would have needed to call that. That's a no-lose situation for the referee there. It's either a goal kick or he could have called offsides. I see these goalkeepers kick the ball as far as they do sometimes, Bob, and I'm thinking of a future college field goal kicker. They have some power. Nice head ball there. Bumping the ball forward and backwards. Now you're going to probably see him. Well, there's a good pressure from behind from Bel Air.
There was a little contact there,
yes.
but the referees are going to allow the players to play. Soccer is a contact sport. A lot of people don't like to think that, but it truly is. And minimal contact is acceptable as long as you're not getting an advantage out of that contact. And the reality is, too, is that the higher level you go, the more contact there is, and the expectation is that you can play through that contact.
Oh, and he saved that. I apologize, Bob. He saved that for the player,
the goal.
And they put it in. So we'll have to get the number of our goal scorer. The 26th goalkeeper is currently talking to his teammate and saying that wasn't a ball that you needed to save there. So he saved it for him. So I'm going to say that I think that was number 1, Austin Hoffman. And he just pulled.
Yes, that was number 1.
So Austin Hoffman put a nice shot in there. But I want to say also that if it didn't go across the goal line, Bob, there was 2 John Carroll players camped right on the doorstep that were going to bang it in anyhow.
Yeah, unfortunately, that ball was hit with a lot of pace, and it actually the keeper got his hands on it, but he couldn't keep it out and went to the inside post.
Well, that was an awkward position for the right defender there. He didn't know if he would have let it go, Austin would have got it anyhow. He should have just probably played it out for a corner kick. Live for the next play, but so that changes the complexion of the game here. John Carroll can be even more patient in building the play with a 1-0 lead here.
Yeah, we talked earlier about Bel Air and the coach saying he had a strong defensive team, and the structure of his alignment is basically defensive, and I think that's reflective in how they've scored this year. So they've given up as many goals as they've scored. And so you look at the opposite situation with John Carroll, and they are to a point where they're scoring 3/4 more goals than they are giving up. And they are, like I say, they generally create a lot of pressure out of the back. They start their attack from the back. And so that allows their defenders to move up the field and become engaged in the offense side of the field.
So that was a good job by number 9, Galen Klischwitz, and pulling the ball back and sliding it over to Blake Saller, number 5, and he worked the ball down the right side here. Incidentally, it's now John Carroll throw in. That's the toughest throw in to make right there, Bob, the 4-yard throw, because you're supposed to pull the ball behind your head and follow through a certain amount, and he was really close to not doing that. What is your fine line on that
People's
legality?
Yeah, people, sometimes that they worry too much about that. It might not look pretty, but it met the requirements.
Okay.
So what I'm more concerned about is sometimes the player will hesitate when they're making the throw and basically becomes a basketball pass.
Right.
And so that's not legal. Or they don't keep their feet properly on the ground, or they step onto the field during the course of the throw. But at this level, it's pretty rare that we see that sort of thing.
Yeah, I used to practice with my teams on throw-in plays a lot because there's a ton of throw-ins during the game. You've got to be able to throw that ball to your teammate's feet or to a spot where they're the only one that can get it. So there's a good stop by the defender. Now that's the back header I'm talking about. He flicked the ball over him.
That's a nice move.
That was a very nice move there. Putting the ball out to the left wing here. He should be putting it right back to him again. Good job with the sideline play here. Now he's serving that ball, and the teammate is, they just didn't get over the John Carroll player's head. Bel Air player was there waiting for it. Now we see what kind of counter we have. Nice pullback move, and then flick the ball out to the left overlapping teammate. Both teams have done a good job, Bob, on waiting for their teammate to overlap and then sending the ball to them. Got a foul here.
Yeah, a little bit from behind there. Reaching for the ball. It's nothing deliberate. It wasn't, in a sense, a nasty foul that would require a card. But he did get him. He clipped him.
So what I'm talking about the overlapping play, folks, is central middle area player is bringing the ball downfield, and he has a teammate, say, 10 yards behind him to his left or right sideline, and they're not quite there yet. So you have to slow the ball down yourself, let the player get a second to overlap you, then touch him a nice little soft pass on the lead. And John Carroll's done that very well today. Bel Air's done it pretty well too. Shielding for the drop pass probably here. Bel Air putting a little bit of pressure on him there.
He's out.
That was a good call by the ref. Ball was out in the air before the player was able to save it with the head ball. So I'm going to see if this is the young man that Dom Rose was talking about with the big throw. Yeah.
Long throw.
You can put a lot on it. Oh, that head ball's right back to the middle. Not exactly where you want to put it. Called a foul there.
Yeah, sure pull.
I say it every telecast, folks. Appreciate the referees greatly. As I said, Bob officiates, and I've officiated some high school and middle school in the MIAA, and I've done a lot of indoor refereeing and some futsal refereeing. It's a tough job. 90% of the time you're wrong when the foul goes against your team, the fans and the coaches. Oh, nice cut back again. Now let's see if he has the room to serve it. He did. Oh, keeper got a hand on it, but it's a tough situation. Wow. What a great job by our Bel Air keeper.
And there's a situation where the keeper, a lot of people would say, oh, the keeper had the ball. Well, the keeper didn't have possession of the ball. And the offensive player is entitled to attempt to play the ball as well. So a lot of times when the goalie and offensive player both grab at the same time, there's no foul there, and the ball is alive. And just because the keeper touches it doesn't necessarily mean he has possession, so that he gets extra protection.
So that Bel Air keeper is Cooper Ray, and I'll tell you what I liked about it, Bob. I think you said you've played some keeper.
Yes.
He didn't get it on the first play, and he worked around the players and went back and dove into that scrum and got the ball. Not everybody's brave enough to do that. That includes Ray Hers. I would have been not diving in that scrum. Nice ball.
Ooh. Just off target.
Sure, you've had your fingers mangled a few times playing goalie, huh, Bob?
Yeah, a couple of them are still bent.
My Uncle Mike was one of my coaches, and he was a keeper, and he got to play down in Patterson Park with some legendary college and professional players. And he showed me his hands years ago from the bent fingers he would get from playing goalie.
Yeah. Now, there was a push in the back. Wasn't terrible, but
Right.
it obviously affected the Bel Air players' ability to play the ball, so that was a call. A lot of times you'll see players, they'll have their hand out on the back, just sort of positioning themselves or trying to protect themselves some ways. Coming back, but when you start,
Nice hit.
Oh, nice. Yes.
That was a nice idea.
But when you extend the arm, that's usually going to draw the call.
So we have 18:30 to go in this half, and in high school soccer, it's usually just a running clock, and then it's stopped if there's an injury that's extensive and so forth. They don't do what you see in the World Cup and professional, where the official keeps extra time, as we call it. The official in this situation would tell the clock manager, stop the clock, if they feel like they need to, correct?
Right. What you'll see is if the referee decides he needs to stop the clock, he'll give a cross-arm signal, and that'll dictate to the scorekeeper to stop the clock. You'll see the clock stopped on goals. You'll see the clock stopped on cards that are issued. You'll see the clock stopped on injuries if the referee feels that the player needs to come off. A lot of times, and we saw it earlier with number 13, with John Carroll's player, he was down in midfield, but he was allowed to, get himself back up, and he stayed in play, and he didn't have to go off. So as a referee, that's what I prefer to do. I always ask the player, are you all right? Can you go on, or you need to go off? And they let me know. If sometimes they want to stay on and they really shouldn't, and I say, well, I appreciate your desire to stay, but I think you need to take a break.
So some of the assistant coaches for Bel Air, like Brian Hahn has done this for 9 years, and Zachary Memo for 5. And I also saw that Dominic Rose's son, Paul Rose, was coaching the JV. That's a neat thing. Coming into this game here, Bob, big goal scorers for John Carroll include Jordan Kozak, he's had 4. Owen Conway has 4, and Galen Kluzowitz has 4. Many other players have 1 or 2. It's always nice when you can have multiple players scoring for you like this. Bel Air went on a 7-game win streak at one point this year, Bob. Their only losses were 4-1 to C. Milton Wright, and they had a 4-0 defeat from Eastern Tech, and they beat Century, Perry Hall, Rising Sun, South River, Falston, Havre de Grace, and North Hartford. And Hartford Tech. That's quite a run.
Yeah. Eastern Tech is probably at this point the best team in Baltimore County. I'll be officiating them tomorrow night.
So that shows you how good Hartford County soccer is. John Carroll is one of the top teams in the state. Bel Air is a very strong team. Falston always has a strong team coached by Chris Hoover. C. Milton Wright, they had a 4-year run of state finals. They won 2 and lost 2 by a goal. Hartford Tech has been really good lately. They went to a championship recently. So we have that throw-in we're talking about, Bob, and he is slightly closer than he was before. So that is number 10, Ben Sellers.
Right to the box.
Yeah.
Right to the goal box.
That's where somebody needs to get a flick on the ball, get it to another player. Ben's dad, Keith, is a good friend of mine and has been a long-time coach. Coached with me in my program years ago. Coached in many other programs. There's a loose ball there, and
what
a save by
Nice
the
save.
keeper. Now, I have to say this. That was a great save. If that ball is a foot left, he can't save that.
Right, the ball was kicked right at him.
Yes.
And the ball's open there. It's a scrum in front of the ball, in front of the goal.
All you can do is strike it.
And all you can do is strike it and just hope that it finds an open spot.
Yep. He had no time to think there. But, Bob, in the game you and I did and 2 girls' games, if we had 9 goals total, I think 6 of the goals were scored off of balls in the box that weren't cleared. And we can add this first goal here to that because the ball could have been cleared or put out of bounds, and it was saved for them. So pouncing on the loose ball around the goal is an art that some players have.
Well, and you can see that throw-in is really an offensive threat.
Yes.
He was able to get it in all the way into the goal box and allow for an opportunity for a scrum to happen and for give his team a chance.
Yeah, I've coached some players that can throw the ball in really far, and I've even had a few that could do that flip throw in. And I think you said you might have had one once. I know when I did a game with Chris Hoover, he told me he had a player that could do that. And anytime you can do that, but I'm going to go back and be repetitive and say again, the same thing you do on corner kicks or direct kicks and indirect kicks around the box, you have to do for that throw-in. Somebody on the offensive team has to continue that ball to somewhere else in the box. Now, we haven't seen a chance yet for him to be able to score off of that, and that's a tough ball to save. When we're really going to see that weapon is when they get the ball inside the 10-yard line, and he can use that throw. That's when you can get the head ball directly to the goal. So we only have 12 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in the first half, and it's a nice 1-0 game, Bob. Anybody can take off in this game at this point. Bel Air's had some opportunities. They're not being dominated by one of the best teams in the state. So nice fight for the ball here.
Good tackle. Got the ball.
Good cut back against the grain. Let's see what he does. He's going to play it back. I had a feeling that was a good job by the Bel Air defense to string him along a little bit there in that diagonal run. Yeah, they're being patient here. I don't blame them. They're waiting for Bel Air to push numbers up. Nice interception there. Kind of mishit that ball.
Yeah, probably a better chance to trap back, control it, and he had another player up on top. They could have, both of them could have made a run.
I liked his aggression, but you're right. He probably should have calmed down and just ran through the ball. There's a service. Goalie should be able to get that easy. Drop kick. Okay, interesting. Different keepers like different patterns. I was going to say he was barely onside, but he wasn't.
Well, he was in an offside position, and then he came back to get the ball.
Right.
So when the ball was kicked, he was already in offside position. Even though he was technically onside when he received it, he was off at the start, so offside.
So he plays the ball right to the keeper. We already know the goalie does have a strong foot, but good patience there, finding the left midi out here. Almost reworked that with 2 players a little bit too much. They needed a third player to come in there. He should be able to get one more pass. And is he going to be able to get shot off? Nice defense. That was a good job all the way on the defensive end by Ben Sellers there, number 10 for Bel Air. He stopped that play like 3 times, served the ball downfield. I think I called a game last year when Ben did a really good job as well. But I want to say he was in a different position at the time. But you know as well as other people do as a coach, year to year you got to change where people play based on the team's needs. I've taken players, Bob, that were my leading scorers one year, and the next year they're my center midfielder. They're like, what did I do, Coach? Didn't I score enough goals? Yes, you did, but you're also needed at center midfield this year.
It is a team sport.
Mm-hmm. Nice service. That was a good pass to him. He wanted to get that ball over the goal. He had a teammate on the other side of the keeper there looking for the head ball. Okay, good job. I want to say I'm seeing more patience in John Carroll's midfield work. They're willing to make 2 more passes. Bel Air seems to make 2 or 3 passes and then try to send the ball forward. If they would just be a little bit more patient, I think they could build the play. It's behind him, bounce off the forward end defender. Now here's where I want to see the patience, Bob. They like to serve it instead of bumping it around. I think that's going to be a foul there on the.
No, they're playing.
Wow.
It's shoulder to shoulder there. And the other key there is referee will look at the players and say, were they looking at the ball? Were they playing the ball instead of playing the other player?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at the other player and you see that contact, then you're liable to draw the foul. I like to look to see where the players are looking when I see that kind of contact.
Well, also, I'll say this. Some referees would have called that a foul, but it's no different than a baseball umpire. They designate their strike zone. If they stick with that strike zone the whole game, then both teams, pitchers, catchers, coaches, batters, should adjust to that. Now, if we do what we call a floating strike zone, then fans start to boo, But if they continue to call the game at that pace, then the both coaching staffs will be okay with it.
Yeah, everybody's just looking for consistency.
Mm-hmm. That ball was hit a little bit longer than they meant it to be. So they're calling that. The Bel Air player overtook him for the ball and started to get a chance to squirt away. And even though people think that was less contact than the foul down the other end of the field, to your point, Bob, it was more impactful.
Well, that, and I think he got a little bit behind the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. There's that high bounce on that turf again, Bob. It went right over him. I think the midfielder going back towards defense should have taken that ball, and he let Ben Sellers come up and kick it and put Ben in an awkward spot to have to strike that ball like that. Their players, you can see the players talking to each other right now about the communication. I call that communication, Bob, and not squabbling yet amongst teammates. That's where teammates will correct each other and say, I should have had that. I should have called that. And that's good communication. Nice quick ball. Let's see what he does. He's been getting down that left side a lot. There it is. Nice touch. Relaying the ball upfield very well. Now he doesn't really have much help, but he just flicked it to himself. Good job by the keeper coming out for that, Bob, because the Bel Air player was going to overtake that ball.
Yeah, one of the first games I did with John Carroll this year, that is the sort of thing that happened. They chipped the ball over, and the other team was losing 1-0,
Mm-hmm.
and it was late in the game, and they just kept trying to kick a long ball, and hopefully they could get a break. And sure enough, they got a break with 1:52 to go, and managed to tie the game up.
So here comes our power thrower, Ben Sellers, up here at the football field's 20-yard line. That is such a weapon.
And the key to that, too, is not throw it so close that the keeper can come out and get it. The idea is there's going to be plenty of traffic inside in front of the goal box there, and the keeper will be reluctant to come out there and try to weave his way through all those bodies because he might not be able to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So great throw, but don't throw it so close.
So you see here what we do called creating triangles. And even the Edgewood defense, not Edgewood, I apologize, the John Carroll defense is even making triangles and they're going outside, inside, forward, diagonal, backwards. That's quality soccer, folks.
You were talking about the types of fouls that officials would call, and officials gauge the way they call the game based on skill sets and how the players want to play.
Right.
So if players are very they get upset about minor touching and things like that, then the referee's more likely to call those kinds of fouls simply because they don't want the frustrations to build and other things happen. But if players are skilled and they're used to playing an aggressive form of ball, where there's a degree of contact that's legal, but still more than some players would prefer to have, then they'll let them play through that.
Definitely. Now you see there's nice touch passes down the left sideline, Bob, and then they keep serving ground balls. Now, again, I tell you I'm an ex-forward. Coaches will be mad at you if you're continually on the wrong ball side of the defender. And every time a ball is served, so you got to kind of, this could be an opportunity. You have to kind of jump the route a little bit. You have to cut inside the defender if you're going to get that pass across the goal. And so far, the Bel Air defenders have done a good job of not letting the forwards jump that pass. So our referee on this side is definitely calling this a little bit tighter on the physicality. Did not like how the offensive player came through for that head ball and kind of ran through the Bel Air player.
ran over him.
So right now, if they're going to continue to serve this ball long, somebody on the Bel Air offense is going to have to get a body trap on it, a head ball, something. You saw a little while ago when the Bel Air player got the ball, turned around, he had like a 1-on-3, so he flicked the ball to himself. And it was a good play if the goalie wouldn't have came out. Down to 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go here. Very pivotal point for both teams. Bel Air cannot afford to get down 2 goals. That was a good job. Ben Sellers squirted out there a little bit, but he didn't quite have the support to help get the ball out. So they're going to push up a little bit here more. You're seeing the John Carroll defenders will, you can't see it on the screen right now, but they're creeping up there all the way inside the 30-yard line. You know, they feel like they have enough room to get back as everybody's coming back on to defend this on Bel Air. Could be a corner.
Yeah.
Oh, he changed his mind. Started a point corner, and then he pointed a goal kick.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. You're thinking in your head, blue, white, and then you're trying to remember which one it went off last, and then, and we'll see that sometimes is that referees make a call, make a decision on a throw in or a goal kick, corner kick, something like that, and as long as the ball hasn't been put back in play, they have the opportunity that they can change their call.
Right. So you have a defender making a run all the way up top there from the back. And that was a very good run. And what happened was when the defender made such a long run, the midfielder held back for him. And with 1:05 right now, they're not going to reset. They're going to stay in the switch positions on purpose. Nice service there. He's trying to look for one move.
Slip.
Fell down on his own. Bel Air mainly just wants to clear this ball right now. They do have time for one more run if he can make a pass.
He needs support.
You got a right wing open right now. And it's there. Now he should cut back. Oops, he got it back though. Now the Bel Air is probably going to push numbers up. They should. Pretty soon they just have to serve this ball across the goal, Bob, and hope for the best.
Lost it.
Lost the ball. John Carroll has time for one quick run. Both teams have a chance for one more chance if they will serve the ball. Now you have a throw in.
Yeah, it's only 10 seconds.
Coach is probably just going to tell him to kill the clock unless he just serves it long.
Yeah, I think what we saw there right at the end, we wound up seeing the Bel Air player was up there all alone, and he had 4 John Carroll defenders on him. So it's fine to push that ball forward, but he needs some support.
Right.
You're not going to be able to get through four defenders by yourself.
So here we are at the half, and Austin Hoffman scored a goal 26:30 into the half, left in the half, and basically stole the ball on the end line, cut it back, and just hit a hard shot that there wasn't a whole lot the keeper could do for it. Even though the keeper got body on the ball bounced into the goal, and if it didn't, there was two John Carroll players there on the doorstep that were going to knock it in. So we're 1-0 John Carroll at the half. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for second half action. Welcome back to second half action at Bel Air High School for this sports showcase event on Hartford TV. I'm Ray Hruz, and I'm here with my broadcast partner and friend, Bob Frisch. Bob, it's only a 1-0 game, so if I ask you to put your coaching hat on, what do you think you'd be telling each team?
Well, I think for the majority of the time, the John Carrollers controlled the ball. They're stringing a lot of passes together. I would tell them to continue to do that. I might say, let's try to come up the middle of the field a little bit more instead of simply coming down the wings. I know they like to play the ball down low, and they like to come for long crosses right off the goal line. But I would try to come up through the middle a little bit more if I could. And then what you do is you draw those outside defenders in, which exposes then the outsides. And then it could maybe be coming in a little closer instead of all the way out there on the goal line or out on the sideline for long passes coming in. I think Bel Air, if they continue to play the way they are, they're just going to settle back into a defensive end, and all they can do is hope for that they're going to get a lucky break. And I think what they need to do is they need to push some numbers forward. We've seen a few times where they've managed to get the ball and pass it up, but they've only got one striker,
right.
and he's up there all alone against 3 or 4 defenders. You're just not going to beat those guys when you've got 30 yards to cover to get to the box. So, I know he's playing a lot of numbers across that midfield, but you're going to have to start pulling a few of those guys up to support that striker up top. And, play to the wide. And if you can get some of those throw-ins, the throw-in has become a real weapon for them. And I think that they, maybe they'll get lucky enough to get one of those balls with a strike in a scrum that, doesn't go right to the keeper. And they're hard to handle, especially a shot that's in there tight. And it comes with some velocity. Maybe the keeper's not going to be able to catch it. It's going to get a deflection. And so that's what I would do.
So 2 things to add to your input. I agree about John Carroll coming down the middle a little bit more often, but their play is there when they get to the wings. They have served so many balls across the box and not taken advantage of it. So to me, I think if they do take it wide, you don't make straight runs. You have to cut left, cut right when you're a center forward or the other forward. They're going to have to come to. We actually say put your hands out, come to the ball, and jump that route. And then you only need deflection into the goal. So I can see them scoring another goal or 2 if they make that adjustment. But to your point with Bel Air, I don't think they're taking advantage of Ben Seller's throw-in. And I was only 5'10", and my teammates, a couple of them weren't very tall either. But we were told that if a ball comes in the air and you can't settle it to your feet, you've got to flick it on to another forward with a side header or a back header. I'd like to see a little more patience in the midfield for Bel Air and build the play. You made the point, bringing up the numbers. You can't bring up the numbers if you just send it long every time. You have to pull it back a little bit. So there's that left ball. Let's see what they do now. Well, he split those 2, got it to a teammate. Wow, looks like he hit the post there, up and over.
Yeah, they got lucky on that one. He skied the ball a little bit and hit the crossbar.
The 3 players kind of threaded through 6 with precise passing there. I'm sure Dominic Rose is telling his defenders somebody's got to press up on those passes a little bit more aggressively.
Well, John Carroll's got skills.
Mm-hmm.
They handle the ball well, and they're quick. And so, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I've seen that from them in other games.
Well, many of my coaches told me the only way you can stop skilled players is deny them the ball. So tighter marking and don't let them have it. Like you see these cutback skills they have and the moves they make to be able to set up the pass. John Carroll girls have a strong team program too going right now. So I was fortunate enough to coach at both of these schools. I coached the swim teams and the track teams at both John Carroll and Bel Air. Great schools to work at. Nice turn, good block. Keeper coming out.
That started with not being able to clear the ball.
Yes. Keeper did not think they could catch that ball, so they punched it out. Now we're looking for that clear down the sideline there. Oops, unfortunately put it middle.
So you mentioned the girls' teams. They had their own version of the Battle of Bel Air just the other day.
Did they?
And John Carroll won that one.
Okay. Nice give and goes. Keeper going to come out and pick that up. I feel like the Bel Air defense is a little stagnant right now. They were playing with more energy earlier. I'm sure the coach is going to get on them and say, somebody step to the ball right here. You're watching.
Well, I think John Carroll's picked up the pace some too.
You're
you
right.
See, they're a little faster on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're being shorter passes, crisper passes. So yeah, Bel Air needs to adjust.
Yeah, you're right, and that might have been the message on the sideline there for the John Carroll coach saying, let's play at our normal pace. A little more urgency. Some people will think this is a non-league game. What's it matter? This is a rivalry, folks. The schools are just a mile or two apart, if that. Nice switching the fields here, passing to the middle here, working the ball. Nice cut back to the middle, serve. Defender trying to shield off, was able to, but John Carroll, player ball side. That might be my most thing I'm most impressed with, Bob, with John Carroll is how they come back to the ball if they don't have a play and repossess it. Goal kick here. A little bit of players jawing about the whether it should have been a corner or not. I like how the official just kind of ignored them. You pick and choose your battles, right, Bob?
That's it. No, it is what it is. That's the call. I'm not going to change it.
Yeah, that used to be one of my favorite comments I would hear referees say. Do you think I'm going to go back and change it because you're telling me what to say? So Bel Air's having a little trouble clearing the ball right now, and it's definitely impacting the game.
Yep. Got the ball, but he run over the player. So you have to maintain control of your body.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see the adjustments Bel Air makes when they get on offensive half the field, Bob, and see if they get a little bit more possession going. Good job by the John Carroll player. One of the differences I'm seeing in the game, Bob, is when John Carroll clears the ball, their players come towards the ball to possess it. When Bel Air is clearing the ball, they're not possessing it.
Good tackle.
Good step there by the Bel Air player. Now that ball is going to be tough ball. The goalie's going to come all the way over and get it out of their comfort zone and shield and let it go out of bounds. Well played. Our John Carroll keeper is Amir Smith. I've said this in other telecasts, Bob. You were brave enough to do it. I wanted no part of goalkeeping. So let's see if the defender's going to take this. Yep, played it to the goalie's feet. Pushed it around to the other side. We switch fields with the ball, fans, because the ball is faster than any player. So if you can just keep linking passes, you'll set the other team up. Goalie did a good job there. The ball was meant to be about 10 yards wider. They wanted to get that ball to the left wing. Now, Bel Air is covering the outside, so you're going to put it down the middle. Keeper passed the ball to the player in the middle, and he told him to turn. And that's part of our communication. If there's nobody behind you, the passer is supposed to tell the person receiving the ball, turn, you have time. They just got that ball 80 yards downfield with 2 passes, Bob.
They moved the ball quickly.
Have not seen a lot of subbing by either teams. They look like they're going 2 or 3 deep on the bench, and that's about it so far. Tells you a lot about the intensity of the game and how close it is. But it may also tell you about depth on the team.
Well, also I think a factor here is the weather.
Yeah.
It is. It's not hot. It's not humid. Players. Oh, okay. There we go. This one be a
First
card.
Yeah,
This
that
would be a
was
card.
because it was from behind.
It was behind. He was late. There's nothing terrible about it. It's just that you got to be more careful.
Right. Referees are setting a tone, and I like it. It was a little bit more ferocity to that and than the other ones, and the angle, as you said. And the referee is sending a message that if you foul at that level, you're going to get a card. That's outstanding. Now he's going to try to serve a ball here. You see everybody bunching up on the right side. And you're not going to usually shoot this one. You're going to serve the ball partway between the wall of players and the goalie and hope it's not in the goalie's comfort zone to come out and pick it off and somebody can get a head on the ball. That's a good service there.
Good
now
serve.
let's see if he shoots that directly. Good block. Nice save.
Nice save, yes.
Wow, that was going in. If our keeper Cooper Ray does not save that ball's going in. You and I saw in our game, I think it was Hartford Tech North Hartford. There was 2 or 3 goals scored in that side of 30 on balls that just came out. So let's see this nice shot, and then we have the ball in the box right now. Bel Air needs desperately to clear this. Good job by the offensive player for John Carroll to fight their way out there, serving it back in again. Another ball not cleared, getting a second chance. Keeper's going to overlap here. They got a chance. Oh, they put the ball across. Just got past the first person there that could have struck that, just about a foot behind him. That was all ball. Oh, he called that. I thought from the sound of that was ball, all ball, but it's tough position here, Bob. 15-yard line marker.
Yeah, this is a shot range.
Yeah. Now they're going to ask for their 10 yards, and then if they don't get what the officials
No,
consider.
quick kick.
Okay, interesting. I guess you know your shooting ability, you know your talent. I've had some teams where I had a player that could strike the ball from that distance and aim upper 90 and put it in. So we're down to the 30-minute mark here, and it's still 1-0 John Carroll. They're trying to get what we call an insurance goal here, getting more than a 1-goal lead. Bel Air's trying to stave off the pressure and trying to get a counterattack here. Nice switch of fields. Some deflections there. John Carroll still maintaining possession. Blocking the ball back in. Hard strike at the goalie, but not much of a threat on that play. You mentioned before about the gap between the defense and the goalie. When there's not much of a gap, you can put a shot on goal and get some traffic around the ball. But when there's a bigger gap, you're usually looking for the cross instead. Nice job. Just barely unable to save it. Game's getting a little bit quicker now, Bob. Fighting for the ball. Looking for a little bit of help here, lateral support. Received it. Wow, what a good job turning the corner. They're both kind of grabbing each other's shirts here, but not enough to call anything.
Yeah, a lot of times people say, oh, he's pushing this one, pushing. Well, they're both doing it, and neither one of them's getting an advantage. Just let it go.
Yep. Nice bumping around of the ball, passing inside, outside. Now, see, there was a head ball that was, a strike that was, wow. That ball that was struck towards the 18-yard line, a John Carroll player got ahead on the ball, which allowed the player to continue. That's what I've been talking about the whole game, and I think Bel Air, once they do that. But right now, Bob, we saw more back and forth 30-30 in the first half. Right now, this has been a lot of John Carroll possession.
Yes. So at some point, teams get so concerned about giving up the next goal that they lose their aggressiveness, and they assume the defensive position immediately when it's a 50-50 ball opportunity.
Yeah, they have 9 players playing in the back third of the field and only 1 up for Bel Air. So that makes for tough transition and easier possession. Now,
yeah, you have every John Carroll player in the offensive third.
That's a nice chance there. Sailed it. It was a nice spin move, but then he didn't have much time to set the ball up properly there. So at some point, you're going to have to see Bel Air commit more players up.
I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
'Cause you're not going to be able to hold John Carroll out when you're giving them 2/3 of the field.
Right. Yeah, you've had a crossbar and a great goalie save, but at some point you're going to need you're going to unfortunately have a deflection or anything. Nice job on that possession. Ball blocked towards the goal. Good job by the goalie. Those kind of block balls are dangerous, Bob, because they can have that spin on it, and you have to read that as a goalie really well. Putting the ball to his own feet here. Feeling like he can probably get a little more accuracy on the pass.
Well, those gloves help too. When I played, we didn't have gloves.
We didn't have a lot when you and I played, Bob. Technology and equipment and everything else. I didn't get to play on a turf field until, I think, until college. That ball is bouncing dangerous. That was a good job coming back to the ball at time from Bel Air. Now they need to possess.
Now move. You slowed up and let the defenders.
Good job by the outside defender here, putting that ball through.
Good defense.
I wanted to say for John Carroll, that was Connor Ellis, number 12, that stole that ball and went up the left sideline there. They play an odd lineup too. They play 3 across the back. They have 4 across the middle and 2 up top, but they play 1 player between the midfield and the defense. And normally, sometimes people would call it a stopper, but one coach was reluctant to call it a stopper. They call it more of a defensive midfielder. There's a good chance there. Good job putting it out. the goalie. Ball needs to be cleared or they're going to get a good shot. 2 blocks by Bel Air. Hard chase. Good job by the John Carroll player, hustling all the way across field.
Yeah, stop the play. Second ball on the field.
Tell you, I love to see those players that aren't even near the play, but they recognize they have an angle and they hustle, and that's what the John Carroll young man just did. Now, I'd serve that ball. Good job. Shield off. Let the ball go out for a goal kick. So we're nearing the midway part of the second half, down to 24 minutes. And Bel Air is looking to figure something out here. Almost got to the left midfielder, just squirted out. So we can sort of see the ball boys and ball girls out here working hard for us, and we greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always ask is, do we have runners? Because it really does keep the game flowing.
Yeah.
If you don't have runners, then when the ball goes way out, then the player has to run off there to get it, and it just slows things down. And actually, it's supposed to be a requirement that home team provide them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes we had middle school kids we knew that would do it for us, younger brothers and sisters. So here's a chance here. This young man should go line. Good job.
Oh.
They're calling that foul, even though it was off the ball, because it was impactful, because he was going to be the next player back into the next pass. So this is that range that I talked to you about, Bob, where you serve this ball to about the 10-yard line, 8-yard line, and you hope your players stacked up on the pack there run onto it and create something. Looks like it might be a little bit short. Oh, it went
that's
through.
Good. That's good. Hit it. Yes.
It's in. So let's see who this is out on the right side here. Looks like it's number 1, and that would be Jordan Kozak getting the equalizer. So we talked about the responsibility of clearing the ball. That tip by that number 4 was the important part.
Yep, just got his foot in there enough.
So let me see who that is. Cameron Class kept that play alive. He tipped the ball from the goalie getting it clean, tipped off him, off the goalie, back out, and then our goal scorer, Jordan Kozak, could put that back in the game. So, wow, now we have a new ball game here. So, Bob, I'm going to be a nerd here and tell you that both goals have been scored by number 1. Jordan Kozak for Bel Air, and then Austin Hoffman both scored their team's first goals. So now we got 22:09 to go. Let's see if that brings new life to Bel Air, and let's see if John Carroll can just calm down and say, we were controlling the game before that. Let's get it back together. We'll put one in here.
And that all started off as that play off the foul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was a short kick in that it didn't clear the wall, but somebody finally did what I said and got a little bit of body on it on the offense, kept it bouncing around, and that's what that does, folks. If you're wondering why I keep harping on that, continuing the play allows for loose ball, and that scored a goal. Keeper came out, blocked it up in the air, got it back again.
Yeah, he overran that a little bit. He's lucky.
Yeah.
He's lucky it stayed out in front.
Cooper Ray has had plenty of action in the goal here for Bel Air. Put it right back to the John Carroll players. Overlapping right wing has a chance here. Probably going to serve it soon. Cut it back. You got the drop. Now, he did choose to use his left foot to cross it. Crossed a little bit too wide. He had a midfielder behind him. Could have dropped him to him for a shot, but he saw a teammate on the far side. See what kind of throw-in we get here. They called another player up here. Let's see if There's a purpose for that. To the feet, back to the person that threw the ball in. Try to push it up a little bit. Maybe should have served it when they first got it. Another ball that John Carroll keeps in possession when it's cleared to counterattack on. So I was looking at the schedule, Bob. Both teams only have like 4 or 5 games left on their regular season schedule. And then they're going to be gearing up towards the playoffs. Bel Air is in 3A in Harford County. So in Harford County, their top competition, they have Aberdeen and one other team that is 3A. I'm going to put Bel Air as one of the favorites for their region in 3A. We already know John Carroll is in second place in the MIAA. And I asked the coaches beforehand how many teams make the playoffs for them, and it's the top 6. So they're very strongly in the top 6, but we are greedy as coaches. And he said, we don't want to be satisfied with top 6. You see, we want 1 or 2 because we get a first round bye.
Yeah, that's true. And so they're going, John Carroll's going to has another game left with Loyola, who's their only blemish, 2-1 loss. So they're going to be looking back for revenge there. And then, of course, you know, it would be, if they wind up with a complete tie schedule, it would be goal differential.
Yeah, and you may be able to educate us a little bit. I'm gonna be an assumer right here and say that I would imagine McDonough's in the top 6 mix, and probably Curly.
Yeah, they're the top 4. And then the other 2 are sort of up for grabs. It looks like you might wind up seeing possibly Mount St. Joe.
Gilman in the mix?
Gilman.
Yeah.
Gilman might be there. So it's, but with those 4 games remaining, a lot could change.
Yeah.
Oh, good stick.
Calling a corner.
It was a good tackle, though.
So for people that don't think that soccer is a physical game, even with shin pads, sometimes you get kicked shin to shin, foot to shin. It hurts. Obviously, a lot of knee injuries we worry about in soccer. You do get concussions in soccer, too. I mean, a lot of injuries can happen.
Well, that's a big thing. Concussions, concerns. That's why you'll see trainers at most of your high school games anymore.
There's a good service. Nice punch out by a keeper.
Clear.
Yeah, our trainer here today is Liz Swank. I met her before the game, Bob, and such a great thing that we have having trainers at all of our games these days.
Well, that and referees aren't medical people, but there's a training program that the referees go through so they can recognize some of the symptoms. Because unfortunately, sometimes we don't have trainers, and referees are going to sometimes have to make decisions about whether they think a player is able to continue in the game or not.
Yeah, we were talking before the game with one of our referees, Paul Airy, and he said that he does that for a living. He trains people in CPR and first aid, and that's awesome. See, we tried to save that, couldn't do it. So now both teams kind of obviously have their chance here to win this game. With it being a non-league game, I'm not sure if we see overtime.
Well, they're playing in Harford County, so Harford County rules apply. MIAA this year stopped playing overtime. College stopped playing overtime a few years ago. And so, but most of the public schools continue to play overtime periods.
Good shield off. Bel Air is gaining more confidence, but you can still see John Carroll's skill. Unfortunately, couldn't save that ball. Flicked it over the other player that was our goal scorer there. And Austin Hoffman trying to flick it over the player and regain it, but run out of sideline there. So they chose not to have Ben Sellers to throw in from that area. Trying to find where Ben is on the field right now. Looks like he's left middle back. That's where you don't want to expose a good defender. Even though he can throw the ball a mile, you don't want the other team to intercept it, then you're out of position.
Yeah, he's an offensive threat. So in those cases where you'd be farther down in the other team's end, yeah, you can take that opportunity. Plus, we give him plenty of space to get back.
That's a pretty good throw too. Now you'd like to put that ball downfield in play and make the other team have to backtrack to get it, but you can't always control that when you're clearing the ball. Fans are calling out to where he should be throwing the ball in. A little bit of a trivial thing, Morgan, about 5-yard difference.
Yeah, the further you are in the defensive end, defense, is getting the ball, you quibble less. When you get further up in the offensive end, where, a couple yards make a difference in how far a thrower can get the ball in there and become a real threat, then
Right.
you can start getting, particular. Same thing with fouls on the field. Defensive end, I'm not going to quibble about 2, 3, 4 yards.
Right.
And when I get it down here, when it's a real threat, you're 30 yards out over, then I'm going to be real specific about where that ball's supposed to be placed.
Good job winning the ball back, made himself a couple delayed moves, earned a corner kick out of that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if I can get that young man's number. That was quite a run down the right sideline, and he never got the shot off for himself, but he was able to create a corner kick. And John Carroll has been a little bit dangerous on these corner kicks, so they could put one in here. Got a left-footed kicker hitting what we call an in-swinger. Good head ball by the Bel Air player, but right back to our corner kick server, and he serves another one in, another head ball. Hit that ball just a little bit wide. There's not a lot you can do about that from the left offensive player. The only thing you can do is either save it or try to hit it backwards diagonally when you get to it. Now, Bob, the one thing I have noticed for both teams is they're just placing the ball down at goal kicks and hitting it. You're not seeing as much running it from one side to the other like you can do. But once you place it down, you have to kick it.
Yeah, that was something goal kicks we just had here, and you mentioned earlier in the broadcast that you no longer have to wait for the ball to go outside the 18 box, and I've noticed a tendency more for especially teams that have defensive players that have real good foot skills is to play the ball right to the people inside the box, their own players, and they can build momentum and control the ball coming out. The reality is that when you kick it off the out of the goal box on a goal kick, you lose the ball 50% of the time.
Oops, a little bit long on the service. Be a goal kick. That was fortunate for Bel Air because that ball went out like a yard from the flag. If it's on the other side of the flag, you got to throw it in from your 1 yard line, which you don't like to do. But when you have Ben Sellers, you could have him do it, and he's going to throw it to the 4-yard line. I asked his dad, what are they feeding him for him to have that strength to throw the ball like that? They said he's been able to do that since his freshman year. Good job on the head ball there. Flick through. He might get a shot off himself. Oh, they let him get through there? Man, luckily for Bel Air, even though he got through there and he got the shot off, one of the Bel Air players stayed in his inside track to be able to put the ball down. I think it was number 11, Owen Conway. And he only had an option to kick it to the goalie's near post side, and he just scooted it wide. Another touch what we talked about.
Now there we are. Yeah, he just touched it, and now he can play it. But you're still basically doing the same thing. You're just kicking it down the field, and what do? We lose the ball right away.
Yeah. Yeah, the John Carroll defenders and midfielders have done a good job stepping in front of Bel Air goal kicks and clears in general most of the game. I think that's where they've gotten a lot of their possession. I wouldn't call it got a lot of their possession because they already had it down their end. They're just retaining it again very quickly.
Well, and part of that's because they're facing forward.
Right.
and Bel Air's players have their back to the ball a lot, or they have to turn around while they're doing it.
Yes, they have to come to the ball, receive it, and then do a U-turn, which is very difficult to do. But you really want to come to the ball, win it, and then play it to a teammate's feet. John Carroll's done a little bit better job of that today. So we got an inside-out pass. He meant to do a give and go, but he realized he didn't put enough on it, so he came back to his own pass. Well, he used that. Now he's going to pick it up when the player gets there. At first, I thought he was going to let it go out for a goal kick, but I want to see his punt. I want to see what he can do with the punt. Or is he going to do that drop kick again? He likes the drop kick, Bob.
Skill you don't see much anymore.
Mm-mm. Nice touch with the outside of the foot. Nice pass there. Got a
Right through the
man. He's
center.
got
There it
a
is.
seam.
There it is.
And he put it in.
Yeah, it just got underneath of the keeper.
Well, that was a beautiful pass, but I got to say, he was fairly wide open there. That was Joshua Petty.
Patriot goal number 10, Joshua Petty.
So let's see the pass here. Let's see who made the pass here. Nice pass. He bumped it to his left foot. Goalie had to commit. He put it through his legs. And that is actually a thing that players are much better at now than they used to be. They deliberately see how the goalie is approaching the ball, and if they put their legs apart enough, they just push it right through. So now we're down to under the 10-minute mark. That was a pivotal goal for John Carroll. Got the 1-goal lead. Bel Air's going to pick up the tempo.
Yeah, that was, you saw there were 3 crisp controlled passes. Bing, 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 right up the sideline, and then you could see the player. I was thinking that earlier is that I would thought that Bel Air defenders needed to mark a little closer. I didn't say it, but I was thinking it, and there was an example of it.
So one thing that John Carroll certainly has the ability to do here, let's see what they do it, is possess the ball. So when the ball was played all the way to the goalie played it with their feet and then waited until a Bel Air player came on them to pick it up, cover it up, because the clock is on John Carroll's side right now.
Now Bel Air has to put the players up. They
Yeah.
They don't have any choice. They've got to commit, and while that may well expose them a little more in their midfield and up in the offense, they don't have much choice here.
So what you're going to see, and I'm not trying to be too much of a predictor here, but you very likely could see one more goal. And to your point, it's either going to be Bel Air if they pressure up enough, or if they have to put too many numbers up, it exposes the defense, and John Carroll might sneak another one in. Let's see. But really, John Carroll does not have to go forward. They can rework the ball as much as they want. You may see them dump the ball like that and then push the ball downfield and just try to cover it up. Wow, he got through there. See, right now you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that were inside the 35-yard line for Bel Air. Before it was 8 or 9. So they are pushing up more. Now this is where referees have to keep an eye on creative stalling. The team with the lead is going to take their time setting up this corner kick. They're going to take their time doing goal kicks and throw-ins. At some point, you may see Coach Ventrick sub in some players. That was a nice let. He's going to strike it from the outside. What our angle, I thought, wow, what a strike. It was way off the goal, but Bel Air is hustling a little bit more here, Bob. They have to. See, what you'll see here at some point, Bob, is John Carroll can decide just to completely turn around if they want to, drop it back to a defender, drop it to the goalie, rework it. They don't have to right now because they're winning possession, but if they're in trouble, you'll see them do that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they've changed their tactics at all. They're still playing a fairly aggressive
Mhm.
upfront ball.
They're hungry for more. So now you're going to see that service play again. Probably play the ball to about the 10-yard line, 5-yard line of the football markings. And players run onto this ball. Keeper's coming out. Ball's loose. Good job. Good defender there.
Yep.
Trying to flick it wide. Just missed it. Missed saving it. Bel Air wants to play this ball right away. Don't let Down Carroll get back and get set. Another one ball in the midfield area by John Carroll. They're very good at that. To take down from behind. So now we're going to have another free kick. We're down to the 5-minute mark. Bel Air needs to stop, and they need to get the ball upfield. Nice work. That was very nice work inside the 6-yard line there. Just give and goes. There's a chip long.
There's a chance.
He needs help.
Bel Air's got to hustle up.
Bump it again is what they need to do. Now this is where you want to get numbers up. Oh, that ball's over him. Keeper coming out. Good job. Goalie's going to take as much time as he's allowed right now.
Yeah, the keeper is allowed 6 seconds.
Oh, that got by him. A little bit long. Keeper coming out and getting it. I was going to say, he might see a throw or a roll there, but he decides to drop kick it. Kind of squibbed it a little bit. Oh, that might be a card.
Yep. That's a second yellow. Did he have the yellow the first time? I'm
Not sure if it was number 1 or not. That's our goal scorer.
Okay, well, I mean, now we have a problem. Player has said something to him. He very likely could have gotten a second yellow for the scent there. Yeah, that was clearly a foul. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, coach is going to talk to him after the game and say, we got a 1-goal lead. No need to do this. Look how far downfield they set this lineup. They obviously know Ben's foot range. I mean, that's a long kick to get it over that wall. Let's see if it actually works. He's got a foot too. Nice flick on. Came out. Now he should strike this on goal. Good try. I like the idea there.
Yeah.
Really wasn't anything else you could do but shoot there, Bob. Too many
There were
people.
no passing lanes.
No passing lanes. People were in his face too much for him to trap it. So now Bel Air needs to press up and cover all passing lanes here. Make it hard for them to get out. Almost did it. Almost did it. Boy, they get downfield fast, don't they?
Yeah.
Now, I like that the goalie got that because you don't want to let it go out of bounds, even if you knew it was, because you want to get the ball upfield as quickly as you can. You don't want to have time for setting up for goal kicks and all that. A little communication there we needed to have. It's quite a move by number 3 there on John Carroll. Christian Rugel. He's going to drop that ball probably. Good job by the keeper to put it out. See, John Carroll relays that ball when it's in the air, upfield. That might be my thing I pick as the difference of this game. Obviously, there's a lot of skill in both teams. Player down right now. Calling stoppage here. Let's hope for the player to be okay. I did not see, was there head-to-head contact there, Bob?
No, he took a shot with the ball
Okay.
in the head.
So this is where we see the importance of the trainer coming out, checking on the player.
Yeah, that was right to the face.
It's another example of what I'm talking about the game of soccer. Getting struck that hard in the face is very concerning. Seeing concussions and broken noses. Hopefully this young man is okay. These trainers are wonderful at deciding and testing them. Both teams huddling together to try to figure out what they're going to do with this last 2 minutes and 20 seconds, Bob. While we're waiting for this young man to hopefully be okay, I'm going to do a quick recap of the 3 goals, Bob. And Austin Hoffman scored. There he is, getting up, walking off with a little bit of help. Austin Hoffman scored the first goal to get a 1-0 lead. John Carroll got back to 1-1 with a goal by Jordan Kozak on a ball loose in the box and then put it in. But Joshua Petty has come back with a goal inside. I had it right around the 9:20 mark. So now John Carroll's got 2 minutes and 20 seconds to try to kill here to win this game. The referees are discussing whose ball it was. They might be calling a drop ball, but I'm not sure. A little discrepancy on whose ball it is. What do you think they're deciding on here, Bob?
Well, it's going to be a drop ball. So a stoppage of play for injury. And they'll start with a drop ball. He's going to drop it to the Bel Air player.
I thought a drop ball was when 2 players came in to fight over the ball. Huh.
There's very seldom you see that anymore because usually the stoppages, what they've decided now is you get 2 players flailing away at the ball in close proximity to one another. So the team that had last possession of the ball, they'll give that ball to them.
Okay. Oh, yes, definitely in that situation. I know what you're saying. I'm referring to the kind of drop ball where you don't know what the call is, and that's when the referees will drop it right at people's feet, and it has to touch the ground first. So they kind of, do you throw it down or drop it down?
They drop it.
Okay.
And the secret there is if you're the referee, you have your hand on the top and the bottom, and you let it drop from the bottom because when they're flailing away, that ball has a tendency to come right back up.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. And you don't want to be there.
I was going to say you kind of got to get out of dodge, don't you? A little bit there.
Yep. Oh, almost.
So John Carroll's got the ball in possession. If I'm this John Carroll player, I'm dribbling down in the left corner and I'm just pinning it in there if I can. But he's attacking the goal, so he proved me wrong. There's 2 schools of thought there. He was aggressive for scoring. I think the fact that it's a non-league game might be what impacts that, but we actually practice a thing where when you're winning by a goal late in the game, you dribble the ball to the corner flag, and then you shield the ball, and you make the other team have to clear it out, which is very difficult to do. I was coaching Edgewood girls soccer one day. We were playing one of the good Howard County teams, Wild Lake or Oakland Mills, and they did that to us, and it just tortured us. We could not get the ball. So we are down to 36 seconds to go here. Bel Air doesn't have much time for possession here. They're just going to try to get the ball downfield. That's a foul, and they need to set that up quickly. And this is when you're going to have everybody come up. The goalie's running all the way upfield. You can see him coming into the screen now. You don't worry about giving up one more. Referee needs to back these players up. He told the young lady to stop the clock.
Stop the clock.
Now he said wind it. Serve it in the box. Everybody's up. It's down. Oh, it hit the post.
Post.
Oh, it's back in play again. Wow, Bob, what an exciting moment there.
Unfortunate.
We were about 6 inches away from a tie game with 5 seconds to go. Let's see who this shot was from, Bob, if we can. Nice delivery into the box. Bel Air players definitely improved in the second half of getting body or head on the ball. It was actually a John Carroll player. And that was a nice shot there by number 4 for Bel Air. And that's, he put his hands on his head, but he had nothing to feel bad about. That was Cameron Class. Great game, Bob. Great game. So I recapped the goal scorers. What are your thoughts about the difference between the first and second half?
Well, especially after we got late in the half, Bel Air realized that they needed to press forward. They started moving a few more players up, and that created the opportunity for them to get some of those balls in from fouls and then from throw-ins. And so that's, where you create your own opportunities, and they did. And so unfortunately, like I say, when you do that press as well, sometimes you leave yourself exposed in the back. But honestly, the string of passes that John Carroll put together on that last goal was just phenomenal. Those were crisp passes right where they needed to be. Players were able to pick the ball up on the run, and the Beatrey, or who is he's the All-Metro player from last year, first team All-Metro. He just demonstrated why.
Mm-hmm. So what I saw in this game was John Carroll held more possession in the first half, but it was more 30-yard line to 30-yard line, and both teams got chances. John Carroll came out a different team in the second half.
Yes.
They dominated the first half of that half. And it wasn't until one foul, one delivery into the box, and they got a scrum and a loose ball and a goal. After that, Bel Air got a little bit more oomph to themselves, and they were fighting harder. But I'm very happy with what I saw Bel Air do. First half, every time the ball was delivered into the box, John Carroll was just heading it out. Later in the game, Bel Air got more challenges on the balls in the box, and it resulted in one goal and a goal post with 5 seconds to go. Almost put it in. There's no such thing as a moral victory technically to coaches, but I think Dom will be happy with how close his young team played a veteran John Carroll team.
Well, I agree. I think there's no shame in the loss here. I think they represented themselves well. They had a few more opportunities they couldn't quite capitalize on. But again, like you say, you're looking at a John Carroll team that is going to be in the running to be able to take the A-Conference championship. They're a quality program with a lot of experience on their team. And you say Bel Air's a building, and they're going to take a lot away from this game, saying, look, we hung with one of the best teams in the entire region, and so, we shouldn't have any reason to hang our heads.
Well, thank you to Bel Air for hosting our event, and Athletic Director Greg Reddish. And yes, you're right, Bob. I agree. Bel Air is going to be a player in the 3A region, and John Carroll is going to be a player in the private school championships. And this is our last soccer telecast. Folks, once you see this game, it'll be around regional time approaching. Start looking for these games. A lot of Harford County teams are going to make something happen. And Bob, this is my second game with you being my color commentator, so thank you for being here.
I enjoyed it. Glad to be here.
So John Carroll moves to 9-1-3, and Bel Air moves to 8-4. It was a great game. Final score: John Carroll 2, Bel Air 1. Thank you for tuning in, folks. This has been a great telecast. Stay tuned for our next Harford TV telecast. Take care.